307 Roundtable. We're doing a video while he's playing a video game. But this podcast will be with Leo.
What's happening, ladies and gentlemen?
Future Moisanti and Jacob Olson. I'm your host for 307 Roundtable. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, sir. I must say, life is something beautiful. You know, it's something you made, kind of like a painting, you know. And sometimes you might have times where you feel like you need to add a little dark colors to your painting, which is a reflection of your life. You know, you might be going through some shit. You know what? You can always change the color no matter what. And that's what's up. That's the power that your mind has if you unlock it.
Sure, that makes sense. Like, I mean, no matter the circumstances that you're in, you have every opportunity, every single opportunity to make it like the absolute best color that it could possibly be.
Absolutely.
But you can't forget that there's always going to be that shadow, and you got to learn from that shadow, because that shadow, that darkness, that's what's going to make you stronger, and that's what's going to help you thrive and push forward more as a person. Because you know, when you're just living this life and you have everything handed to you, you never learn anything, because that's just not how, I guess that's just not how God created life to be. And so when you go through these dark times with these you know, this painting that you're drawing, these projects you got working on, like this list of things that's right now, you know, in your life, you see a little darkness in that. That's God just testing you and making your life a little bit stronger. So like you were saying something like, shit, just appreciate that little bit of darkness in that painting.
Agreed, brother. Like you said, ain't nothing better than your shading. And by that, I mean, there ain't nothing better than having a negative moment in your life and somehow manipulating that to be better. I call this a simple thing called the ripple effect. A simple smile to somebody in the morning, you know, when you're in your alpha mode, you know, when you're in traffic.
Sure.
And you're passing somebody and you're like, why the fuck is that guy going fucking so
Instead
quick?
of flipping him off, just look at him and smile and be
Yeah.
like, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely, brother, you know?
You gotta change it. Yeah, I mean, to be different, you gotta be different. What does it mean to be different? You be different, you gotta be different.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. You need that darkness in your life to help you see where you're at. So without that darkness, you know, it would be hard to have happiness. In other words, a tree can't grow up without first digging its roots down below.
And the roots are the most important part of the tree.
Absolutely.
But there's also the rings.
Rings.
From the winter of the year, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's not just the roots that they're growing, it's the rings too.
Absolutely. And
You know,
every ring.
The tree's a beautiful analogy for life.
Absolutely.
For even, especially for crafty people or people that have goals and live for something. I mean, everybody has a certain life goal that they're living towards, but there's people that just strive for more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good ripple effect analogy to use for that.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, for sure.
And life is beautiful. That's as simple as it is, you know? Like, there's gonna be times where you need to switch up and need to be somebody else out of your character, and that takes honor and strength to change your perspective on being somebody negative. You know, you get to work, you got people hollering at you, you got to come back home and have to deal with life things, you know. That's like fucking gas price. I mean, they're going low, but they're not as low as they once was, neither is food or life in general. We got to figure out a way to manipulate this to affect us in a better way, even though it's hard.
Yeah, so there's definitely complications when it comes to like trying to master our lives and the things that we're doing, because you know the government definitely makes it hard for us. You go to the store, you get a loaf of bread, some eggs, and some milk. You're spending $13 to $18, depending on how much you get.
Yeah.
Instead of $5 to $8, you know, like 2 years ago.
And It's sad, brother. It is that we
Yeah,
got.
you can't spend $10 on a meal right now to have a real good meal and be full. You spend $13 to $18 on a good meal, and that means that for a daily cost, if you're gonna eat like a normal human being, a normal human being like we ate when we were kids, I suppose. You spend $30 a day on food, 30 to 40. That's a lot of money.
It is. And it used to be, you get a loaf of bread, you break bread with your brothers, and you enjoy that love that you spread between each other. And it's so hard to do that nowadays.
See, I still do. I mean, here's the weird thing about me is I'll go through spurts of like where I'll just work a basic ass job and I'm just making $13 an hour, just pushing. I'm like, I miss having like really good steaks on the grill.
Free money
every day, and I still have to pay quite a bit in child support either way. So it's like that's something that I have to put into account. But when I go to those oil field jobs, man, I've got a steak on the grill every day. I got 8 eggs every morning that I'm drinking, and or eating, whatever the case is, and got protein shakes. Working out real hard, and then when I'm working just local, there's different options that I get to weigh with that because I'm not working so much. So I get to have my son every 2 weekends for 3 days. So there's just things we gotta look forward to.
Hold up, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my gosh. Leo.
Tyson.
There's things we gotta look forward to on both spectrums. Like no matter what we do in life, there's gonna be a different outcome, but that outcome's gonna be beautiful.
Absolutely. And that's a whole part of the painting, it may look messy at first and uncolored in certain areas, but that's the beauty in life. You get to fill in those areas with whatever color, you're gonna need both dark and both light colors. And so with that being said, it's been a blessing to be able to experience moments like these with everybody, to understand life in a deeper level than what it's prescribed to be, Life ain't about working every day. Life ain't about fucking having to go and spend money on things you don't want. Life is about waking up every morning and realize that you got another chance to do something different than you did the day before,
Right.
And I think that's the blessing within itself, kind of.
So, tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, and if it's something that you've always wanted to do, what inspired you to want to do what it is that you're doing, or maybe give us a little bit of your childhood snippets too, of like just maybe something that you've been growing towards in life that you want to see in your future.
All right. As an early age, my mind was always a very curious thing. I always wondered, how is it that something can exist forever? Like they say, God has always been there and always has been and always will be. Those kinds of questions have always molded my mind into seeing the universe we're in a different perspective. Like, I get to thinking, if I got brought into this world, where was I before? Where was my mind before I came into this body? And that's been my life journey, is discovering the truth within this curious thing we call life that's full with so much mysteries from different angles of life views, You got somebody thinking that there is a heaven, you got somebody thinking that there's no heaven, people thinking that there's hell. And that's another thing I don't understand, If you're a father and have a son and you love the son and he grows up to be a bad influence, would you punish that son for the rest of his life, slap him, give him whips with a belt for the rest of his life, honestly? I don't think so. And I don't think life should be that. I think it's so much bigger than that. And we need to grow as a human unit, because we have the power. You have the power. And let's make this change, All it takes is a little smile, the ripple effect. Change everything.
Right. There's a lot of research on that too. Positive mindset, speaking positive words, affirmations, that type of lifestyle. Even with different friend groups, encouraging one another to do certain things with when it comes to finances or when it comes to thinking and then physically acting, such as like going and working out, going bowling, going and drinking, which isn't the greatest thing to do, but there's case studies that have shown that if you do it in moderation, then it's not as harmful for your body as most people say it is. So there's a lot of great things that you can do with other people to benefit your life, and there's also a lot of harmful things that you could do with other people that can hurt your life, that could potentially mess up your spiritual understandings, because if you learn too much at once, you could maybe think certain things that aren't actually true. So when you're actually just first going out there and just kind of understanding the world, you got to understand that you got to be open-minded to a bunch of different so-called, it's not realities, but just understanding of other people's understandings of reality. And you have to put your perspective on that and maybe try to just balance out what you believe, what everybody else that's close to you believes, and that other people believe that you're not certainly like super close with. Man, there's people that believe in 69 different like genders, and there's
how many religions are there nowadays?
Probably 500.
And how many of those religions believe they have the truth?
Every single one of them, I believe.
And what do they say about the other ones?
They all hate Jesus. That's a fact. I know that one.
It's so sad, man. And
Except for Muslims. Muslims do not hate Christ. I guess neither does the Mormons, but I don't know.
We can get into this. I know I've studied.
I don't know if we're
I've
allowed
studied
to.
that.
I went to Bible college, so I'm definitely a Christian. I do believe that Jesus Christ was actually a man that lived and walked on this earth, and He saved us from our sins by dying on the cross and coming back to life. There's also a lot of case studies that show that Christ did rise from the dead. His body was never discovered after his death and burial and resurrection. There's cases that his people took his body from the tomb, but there's also too many claims that it was way too heavy for 12 scrawny dudes that have been following Jesus for the past 3 years. They couldn't pick it up. They couldn't move it. They didn't have the resources. They moved from town to town. They had very light sources of food, so it was like impossible for them to move it.
Round
So
15 niggas.
that's something that we gotta understand. Is it was real. He was a real man. He really did what he claims to do. And then, but we also have to ask: did Muhammad actually do the things that he did with the Quran? Did Buddha do what he did? Did the Krishna, whatever, all these different types of religions, did they do what they did with the Satanic Bible? Is it actually helpful to do what you want to do what thou wilt? That is the whole of the law, which Anton LaVey will say. Then there's the Necronomicon, the people that want to do necromancy and stuff like that. Is that something that is true and something that's positive and something that's encouraging to life that we should allow, or is it something that should be sedated and we should just be down to one religion, one belief, one type of understanding, or should we let people adapt and evolve? Which obviously throughout time, all of these different religions, all these different doctrines have come to America in the past 200 years. Everything's spread throughout. Everybody knows everything about everything. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know everything about everything, but you know a lot about everything. And there's one religion for me that makes sense. Everybody else has entitlement to their own opinions on what they believe. But what if we're being led astray by a dark source that's creating all these other different religions so that we don't really know the one true source? You know what I mean?
And I must say, first of all, I appreciate the research you have done into understanding these things on a deeper level, because that's something that's hard to do. And you've done your research, because I've done my fair share of research, and like you said, there is many stories of Jesus, and many say he's the Messiah, and many say that things happen. And that's the hard part, is you have to choose. You have to choose the path you take, and that's when you become the master of your fate. If you want to believe that this guy came here and he was just a normal guy that me you, cool, let that be your story. But if you want to believe that this man came here and he did something beautiful to help us understand the reality that we're so confused in as a human, then that's something you can turn beautiful, you know?
So, for the watchers that aren't believers, we will move past that so that we can also just get a really good little podcast into you about who Leo is as a person. But I do want to sidetrack and state something. If you don't believe in it, that's fine. Just move forward with it. But how has Christ and your relationship with Him impacted your life? What kind of changes have you made in your life with yourself, with your friends, with your environment, since meeting Christ? And what does it mean to you? And then also, what do you hope to accomplish in the next, 5 to 10 years? What's your main focus? Do you have any business goals, things like that?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna say I was born Christian, and like this fine gentleman said, we're not pushing any beliefs upon you guys. May whatever you believe be your path. May whatever you believe in pave the road that you're about to take in your future. And with that being said, I was born Christian. I'm not too comfortable saying what religion quite yet, but maybe later on we can discuss that. But it has paved me in a way where I'll give you an example. I had the opportunity to go meet a lady down in my old place where I used to live, because now I live in Wyoming. But I prayed because I knew if I went down to this place where I used to live, bad stuff was going to go down, in the sense that I was going to commit immorality. So I prayed. And I came home for lunch, and on my way back, I noticed that I had a flat tire. And to me, that was a sign that, hey, maybe God is watching. Take it easy with what you do, Maybe He wants to see better stuff. And that has been my movement, whenever I pray, it does something to me, to my mind, and I just want to help. There's so much hatred and sorrow in this world, and I just want to love people, and like
love is essentially the answer to what you got out of your relationship with Christ, more or less.
Absolutely. Like you said, if people will know you're my disciples if you come in the name of love.
They will know you through me.
Mm-hmm.
When you won't know the Father except through Christ. So the people will know you through Christ, and you will know the Father through Christ. That's a beautiful relationship. So let's piggyback on that, and then let's move forward to what you've been through in the past maybe couple years. How you came to know YSanT, and I don't even know how I met you. Jim, maybe. But then I met you through Tyson too. But let's dig deep into that. Let's experience life through the eyes of Leo for the past, say, 5-10 years, and then what does the next 5-10 years look like for you?
All right. Well, I came up here thinking I could make a better opportunity, and it has been. I got a new job, which is really good and has been providing my life. They've been well to me, giving me enough money to be sustainable in the circumstances in which we are in this government. And I've stuck with them since day one. We had a few ups and downs where, I had to leave because I thought my one homie was gonna hook it up. I ain't gonna say his name. He was in construction though, and he said, "I'm gonna give you bait," but obviously, that didn't fall through as well as we planned. But now they accepted me back because of the genuine work I did. And I am a detailer, and I detail cars, and I even think that's a cool sign within itself, because I get to create something beautiful by first messing it up and then trying to make it better. And I think that's something beautiful that also helps me throughout my life. And my few next moves are to move down with my family, because my parents divorced and my family separated. And right now I just want to bring them together. I've been working so hard on bringing everybody else kind of together that I've lost track of what's really important to my heart, that's been so confused with this divorce of my parents that I'm just now realizing that I have to try to bring this closer together, and that's my next move.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That's encouraging for listeners out there that are like, man, I'm not sure, if I should stay and do this or that. Just do what your heart tells you need to do. You need to be there for your family. I don't know your guys' situations and your family situations and whatnot, but for me, blood is blood, and I'll do anything for my family. But
And one of your questions was is how I met this guy right here. If you would get your face in the video, you fucking yakking. Jason, get your face in the video.
YSLT.
I mean, I saw him too. My bad, ladies and gentlemen. My brother here, the way we got introduced was I love music. And obviously this guy loves music way more than I do because he's made a crazy life out of it. But with that being said, man, like this guy, I would take a bullet for this brother, man. Like he showed me some stuff and understandings of life which I would have never had if it wasn't for me meeting Tyson. And I get shaky on the subject because he's my brother, and we have moments where we fight like any other brother, but at the end of the day, keep it solid and I'm gonna break my bread with you, dog. And that's as real as it is. This guy introduced me to music in a whole nother level, and I appreciate him for every moment.
Chat's coming soon.
That we had. Absolutely. But amen to that.
So we'll piggyback into your detailing. Give us a little detail on your detailing, Dutch.
That's my first genuine job was detailing. And I hate it, but I love it. I hate it because it's so chemically, and the matter that you use too many chemicals and you use your fingers too much. But at the end of the day, you see that customer smile and you see the transformation in the work that you've done. You're like, wow, it really affected this guy. And it feels good.
I did some customized detailing with Composer Customs.
Oh?
Might do a video with him here soon, so shout out Composer Customs. I did some work with him, did some coatings and detailings, and let me tell you what, man, it's fun, first of all. Second of all, it can be very frustrating. You can get very frustrated with your brothers. But it's very detail oriented. If you don't get one thing right, you gotta restart from scratch sometimes, and it's just so meticulous like that. And so that's why I wanted to maybe have you go more into detail about that, because it's just something that you can't really, I do detailing, but there's more to it than just that, man. It's not, I guess, like saying, I work out in the oil field. Okay, like what position did you work out there? Because there's a few different things that you can do. Yeah. It's not just one small thing. So you're doing detailing on vehicles. You're probably shipping paint as well because you're working for 307. Rock Springs, right? Rock Springs Auto Body?
Yes, sir. Rock Springs. Shout out to Rock Springs Auto Body and glad those are my homies.
Shout out 307. I don't know if I'm supposed to or if I'm allowed to give shout outs to Rock Springs Auto Body. I'm not.
On my behalf, I owe it, and don't y'all dare say nothing.
I'm not a business or an entity. I'm just a podcast and a YouTube channel. So just branching out, getting people some exposure. And for right now, we got an employee at Rock Springs Auto Body, Leo, with us. What's your last name?
Cardona.
Leo Cardona. And then YSLT. We got him in the room again. We did our very first podcast was with YSLT. Our second one was a piggyback off of that with David Rossi, because we had brought David Rossi up in that as a public relations officer. And Leo was around when we were doing the first one, and I was like thinking about it. I was like asking him today if he wanted to do a podcast, because I feel like it's important to get to know your community, and he's got a lot of goals and dreams, and what he has to say is important. He's become a really good friend of my brother, so I'd love to see that stuff. So I'm like, hey man, let's get you up on here. Let me get 30 minutes of your mind, and then let's just eat it from there, So just give me a little bit more about what it is that you've seen from the town of Rock Springs, and give me some detail about some artists that you might have maybe linked up with and that you maybe do want to link up with. Give some shout outs. Maybe not even just music.
The Grace Productions.
If there's a place you like to eat
Grace.
a lot, and you know you got some homies that work here or there that you're like, hey man, this is dope. Give some exposure.
Oh, you seen the business card?
Okay, that's a lot of jam-packed things. First of all, thank you for being on this. If we're about to end this, brother, it's been.
We got about probably 10, 12 minutes left.
Oh, I thought since you were like kind of like rounding it up, I thought it was.
No, we're gonna get some exposure out there, and then maybe get some names and whatnot.
Yeah, but with that being said, thank you for this opportunity to use this platform to give insight on my life and an understanding of what I think the world is. And you know, the world can be very dangerous, so be careful out there, y'all, and let's stay positive.
Stay hydrated.
Stay dehydrated. Back it up, Terry.
Have you got any tattoo work done here in town?
No tattoo work, but Rock Springs is a buck wild place. If y'all looking to definitely change your lives, come up here because you will experience everything.
Where are you from?
I'm originally come down from Vernal, Utah, but I was born in Oregon.
Are you going back to Vernal or are you going to Oregon?
No, bro, I'm going down to Atlanta, Georgia. That's where my family at. Yes, sir.
Okay. That'll be a long drive.
I'm planning
A lot of opportunity there for anything.
Yeah. Not Atlanta, Georgia though, but what's it called? Rome, Georgia. There it is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No. So hit me up with some local artists.
Shout out to Barber Nunzio for cutting my hair sometimes because that guy always booked. Shout out to the Grace Production Studios. Shout out to Navarre for his work. Excellent character. If there's somebody looking to get good quality work done, Navarre, not only with music, but with wonderful snacks like jerky and
Shout
many
out to Navarre for both, his music and his
pastries. Yes.
Snacks. Boy.
Y'all ready though?
Do you know anybody that does local tattoo work that you might be like, hell yeah, that dude's dope, that chick's cool?
No, not really. Like I haven't got a tattoo in a minute, but I heard tattoos are
Go to Salt
down
Lake.
Salt Lake,
This one.
I don't know why this guy doesn't want to get in the podcast. He's over there being a loner.
I was in it with my gaming.
Wyson team got his lip busted by something like a piece of wood. I don't know. There's mysteries to be exposed here over the next few days, but
no, I
don't want to be seen.
I've seen the whole story. I don't want to get too deep in it. The thing is, fucking, this guy got fucking lightheaded, and we were in the kitchen, and he gets up even quicker, which is dumb because I think you should sit down if you get lightheaded. And he's all getting wobbly and falls down over the oven.
All right.
This guy.
So, we got cut off. So whatever happened
Because of
before,
that guy.
Whatever happened before, it was good stuff. We're gonna keep it, and then we're just gonna move forward. I asked my friend here. First of all, shout out. We've got at LIL-WILL
Corona.
Wyson T's Snapchat. And then we've got some music over here from
Lil Leo.
Lil Leo. Give us a little snippet, maybe a background story. Let's go.
Here we go, y'all. This is a song I made back when I was wondering about life, like I always do.
You can keep it right.
It's been a crazy grind. Learning how to love, and I'm learning to live in the world that I think. Forgot how to forgive. Or ignorance is hate. We must break up about the matrix.
That's the reason why I always feel so anxious. And somewhere deep inside, wanna spread love to the strangers. Cause somewhere deep inside, I know we all just feel the same. Would you walk in my shoes? Would you feel all my pain? Would you walk on my path? Take a look at my brain. And that would be the same.
Yes, sir. And that's a little of my flavor. You know, I like to get deep with it. I go all kinds of ways. Yeah.
If you've made it this far in the podcast, we're gonna leave a link to the description of his Facebook or his Snapchat, whatever social media network he likes to go through. And then later on, we may put in the comments some links to his music when he releases those publicly for everybody. And so we've covered your music.
You all want to see the shiner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about time. Exposure.
Santi was out because he was embarrassed about a fight with
This
Stove.
I would never do that. Here you go. Okay. Take it. You got something I want to play. I'll take it.
So,
I got a DJ tomorrow. It sucks.
Santi and I, so we'll probably just wrap this up right quick, but Santi and I, we kind of discussed a few different things, but in this podcast, 307 Roundtable, we like to discuss certain events that are going on around the world and what their input is on it. It kind of just brightens the mood and kind of lets you guys in on the mind of other people that are here local. First one is Ariel. She is black in the new Mermaid.
Oh, yes.
Hallelujah.
Just expound upon any opinion you have about that.
Yes, I think you should take this platform, fam.
He already answered
I don't
his.
know.
Oh, you already did it?
Yeah, on the first podcast he
Okay.
did, and then David Rossi Jr. yesterday he expounded upon it a little bit as well. So let's get a little snippet of what you see out of that one right there.
Yeah, White Santi showed me some stuff this morning, and it's ridiculous, you know. It doesn't matter if the Little Mermaid's green, purple, orange, you know, it's an understanding of what she's doing behind that color, you know. What is the Little Mermaid, honestly? I mean, it's been a minute since I watched it, but the last time I remember is a girl that falls in love with this guy that's totally different, you know. They have two universes, and yet they get the chance to mix it up and make it work.
So what is your thoughts on the Queen passing finally, and then
Man.
King Richard, Prince Richard is now king or something like that?
R.I.P. to the Queen, you know. What she's done, as far as I've heard, is something very excellent and beautiful. So, R.I.P. to her.
Rest in peace, the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. the Queen.
And to this new King Richard, I guess you got a few things to look forward to. You know, that's a big platform you're standing on.
And I'm sure he's been involved with everything just as well as her, so I'm sure he'll do just fine with his role. I'm not a royal person, so I'm not 100% certain how all that works, but from what I've seen in movies and read in books, they're a pretty tight-knit family, so they all pretty much kind of know what they're doing.
Mhm.
Royalty's never born, it's made.
Yeah, that's right too.
And we do have a mastermind group that's set up throughout Sweetwater County. I mean, I've got probably 15 different homies that I'm always like, hey man, let's connect, let's click, let's do this, let's do that. And so that's something that's real around here. So that's something I appreciate about my hometown. Every time I move, I've moved to about 17 different states. Every time I move, yeah, there's some great experiences. But as far as getting someone to trust as much to be able to like actually make moves and put financial gains towards, like make that more of a reality, you know, put money towards stuff and actually accomplish goals together as a team with your homies, you know. That's something I've only done here in Rock Springs compared to other places. I guess more successfully, I should say. I have done it in other places, but mastermind groups, man, everyone around Rock Springs is pretty talented and also pretty intelligent. So what have you experienced when it comes to kind of becoming parts of groups around here and like maybe just seeing like how intelligent people can be and what kind of moves you could have possibly made and what moves you might be making here in the future?
You know, this is a town that isn't shy at all. Like, man, I came here being shy as fuck. The first thing I learned from the place I work at is like the harshness of this town will mold you into being something much stronger than what you came with. Cause like this town is definitely a rough town to be. But with that being said, be yourself in this town, you know, and you can be free to be that no matter where you are. But this town, you can definitely feel free to be, you know, yourself, and they will accept you for whatever it is you believe in, and you can have deep conversations with people at the bars here. That's my favorite thing to do, is to have deep conversation with different individuals at the bar. That
It's always understanding to come to a conclusion in both ends to recognize something out of what you learn from conversating. And you just gotta be a good, decent human being to relate and understand and have compassion for other people. And from there, it's not really hard to get to know other people and branch out and make a team. So this is what we want to do with here at the 307 Roundtable podcast. We're trying to find some new artists, give them some shout outs and other businesses alike locally, you know, see what we got to do support wise.
We're gonna do different groundwork. You know, with 307 Roundtable, it's a round table, you know what I mean? There's different people from different walks of life that do different things, that are doing discussions at different times on this podcast, and it's something beautiful. And before you come onto my show, I want you to just check out all my podcasts that I've got, so you can maybe have your own understanding and put your own input on everything that you've heard so far. That's something that's going to turn this into a very beautiful podcast, is when people are actually engaging and watching this stuff and getting to know the people that they were like, hey man, I've seen you around, but I don't really know much about you. Or even saying that to a friend. If I had seen you and you asked me about him, I'd be like, oh, I've learned this and this about him. But if I had watched the show, listen to the podcast, whatever it may be, because some of these are going to be on audio. Circumstances.
You're not hearing it from someone else, you're hearing it from the person themselves.
If I asked you asked me about him and I just didn't really know him, but I knew about the podcast, I'd have a lot more conversation to have with you about that. And then if I'm in a rush, say I'm at a party and it's time for me to go, but I know that you do music and I've never met you before, but I know that you know my homie that's been on the podcast before. I walk up to you and I'm like, hey man, I seen you on the podcast, whoop-de-whoop. Let's do this, link up this time, boom. That's an in right there. So there's always something beneficial. Always something beneficial to the show.
We can turn on
to this podcast.
Yeah, I found out. Any light bulb play.
oh, what the heck? Oh, dude, it's way blown as black.
And
What's wrong with it being black?
Nothing at all. I'm just saying, like, burned out weird. I should have turned off the electricity, excuse me. I'm like, dude, look at that. That's crazy.
the light bulbs are blown, so we can't make it any brighter, but
It's black.
I hope you have enjoyed the experience. So this is podcast number 3.
Lil Leo, shout out.
Shout out Lil Leo.
Thank you
You
to my
guys
brothers.
got just a little snippet of his music, and like I said, we'll leave the links and descriptions below, comments, and in the description itself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on Facebook and all other platforms, which I am not on yet, but may possibly. Shout out YSAW T, Lil Will. Shout out Lil Leo. Jacob Olsen, I'm out.